Hey, dirtbag! Yoo-hoo! Dirtbag! Hey, dirtbag!
What the hell do you want?
Just checking you got a handle on your new name.
Alright, next up is... I think this high speed has turned good old Dirtbag into quite the mongoloid.
Hey. I might be a mongoloid. This is how I first experienced F-Zero.
I laugh at this version of Mario Kart Double Dash every time I look at it. Special Edition includes a bonus disc. Holy shit, that's fucking awesome. I wonder what it could be. Maybe it's new characters, tracks. Maybe it's a fucking demo disc. But in all seriousness though, it was a pretty cool thing to have at the time. The amount of demos and bonus videos it had on it introduced me to a couple games I probably wouldn't have ever played otherwise, so I owe this demo disc big time for finally introducing me to the F-Zero series properly. And should probably burn it too, cause Jesus fucking Christ, F-Zero GX is easily the hardest game in the series. Not to mention probably one of the hardest games I ever played too when it came to completing and unlocking everything. But I'll get into that in a bit, cause for the first time in the series, we have a story mode to play through. So, prologue. Black Shadow and newcomer to the series Deathborn are having a race for some reason. I always figured it was to test Black Shadow, but yeah, whatever. Deathborn makes him crash out, then threatens him if he loses again. That something bad will happen. Oh no. And that's it. So, on to Chapter 1, Captain Falcon Trains, and that's pretty much the gist of this chapter. Given you see a few of the racers watching the news, that shows Black Shadow being kind of a dick, but other than that, training is all that really happens here. And for the first mission, it's nothing that most couldn't handle. You simply go around the track and collect all the capsules in a set time. See? Not bad. And that is one of the minor gripes I have about this game. Having to buy each chapter. I mean, in the long run, it isn't that big a deal, but it was kind of annoying because they made sure you never earned enough tickets from these chapters to buy the other ones. No? You want to continue the story mode? Well, you better get your ass in the Grand Prix and earn those tickets. So yeah, dick move game. But like I said, in the long run it isn't that big a deal because you're going to be doing the Grand Prix sooner or later. If not, well, what the fuck did you buy the game for? But might as well get into some of the new additions that were added before I get back into the story mode. So pretty much everything that F-Zero X brought to the series was retained here for the most part. Driving is still as satisfying as ever, especially on the GameCube controller. In fact, I'd say the controls were perfected here. Every move I make feels precise, and the problem I had with attacking an X is gone thanks to making the Z button the attack button. Now I feel a lot more comfortable attacking. And thanks to the better sense of control, the only way I'm falling off when I'm killing other racers is by my own arrogance. So you have your Grand Prix, your multiplayer along with all 30 returning racers. We lost Def Race, but something tells me that wasn't really missed. Not to mention, if you really wanted to play Def Race in GX, then you could do it through practice mode. Okay, it's not exactly the same, but just roll with it, okay? But I think the biggest addition to GX besides story, and by that I mean its only other addition, is the ability to design and customize your own F-Zero machine. Which was an awesome addition I feel they didn't have to add, but very glad they did. There's 30 racers that you can buy from the start, and 11 more that you can unlock, which I'll get into later. But this is what I mean by a feature they realistically didn't need to add. There's 41 racers, each with their own machine and unique stats. That's more than enough variety, even by today's standards. In fact, I talked about something like this in a previous video. In a perfect world, we would add card customization as well as personal cards. You can make it happen, right, Nintendo? Right?
Just do it!
In this case, they did do it, and F-Zero GX felt that much more polished because of it. So, for the most part, customizing a machine is very similar to Mario Kart 7 and 8's customization. You pick 3 different chip parts to build in your machine, such as the body, cockpit, and engine. The difference between Mario Kart 8 and GX though is after you build your machine, you can choose what colors you want your parts to be, which is pretty much on par with most paint softwares that you would see on computers. And you can even add decals to your machine. Plus there's an option to create your own decals. God, what the hell happened? I used to be so good at drawing. As you can tell, the garage wasn't an afterthought. They give you a lot of options to play around with, and it's very easy to use. Now that's awesome. But of course, just like anything else in life, that comes at a cost as it's also very deceptive. I'm sure by now you've probably noticed that these machine parts have a ranking beside them. And I'm sure for anyone who watching this but hasn't played the game would think picking the highest ranked parts would be the smartest thing to do. And I wouldn't blame you for that, I would think the same way. Only makes sense, right?
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
No, you'll soon learn like I did and just about everyone else who did the same thing. having OA rings don't mean jack shit when it comes to building the perfect machine. Far fucking from it. Actually, it could lead to a very awkward and clunky machine. So there's gonna be a lot of trial and error trying to see what machine parts complement each other. And it may take a bit since you have to unlock and buy each part.
This is something that just never made any sense to me. One would think that the best parts would equal the best outcome, right? But looking back on it now, this was Sega and their AV team developing this, and this was right around that time when Sega was deciding to go full-on fuckhead, so the deception could have been a lot worse. But speaking of deception, let's get back into the fucking story. Feel dirty now. Ugh.
So as stated, Chapter 1 wasn't that difficult, but now we're in the Red Canyon facing off against Samurai Goro who has a beef with Falcon. Cause well, for some backstory from the previous games. And Jesus Christ, why the hell does he have such a good lead on me? And oh my god, Jesus! And yes, I'm talking to you because I need a miracle to get past some of these chapters. Okay, well for Chapter 2, Goro isn't too bad once you try a few times to get used to the track wheel, but good god, that difficulty spike comes out of nowhere. But this is where you realize that story mode is actually a challenge mode, which I can get behind. I love the fact that this gives GX a bit more variety where it isn't all just about racing. It was great when Mario Kart DS had a challenge mode, and for how much I harped on it, I still appreciate that South Park Rally had different types of races. But again, like, good god, man, after you beat Samurai Goro, this difficulty becomes evil. So in Chapter 3, after a long day of racing Goro, Falcon stops in to have a beer. Whoa, wait one goddamn fucking minute there. What is this game rated? Oh, well, okay, but come on, this is Nintendo, and this is the great Captain Falcon. That ain't a drink. That's apple juice. Whoa, buddy. I think you've had a little too much apple juice. Holy fuck, face yourself. So before Falcon can order anything, this old guy blabs about something. I think he got cheated or something. But spots Falcon and goes into Yoda mode.
You're the famous Falcon!
Then asks him to enter the bet race. But before that, apparently Falcon has to dress up in... Whoa, wait a minute, you're laughing at his look? Have you seen the people in your bar? This is a hell of a lot more tame than some of the designs in this game, and speaking of which, look at your outfit. See, but here's the thing, people, he's not laughing at your costume. Oh, no. He's laughing because he knows you're about to fucking lose, and lose, and lose, and lose, and lose, and lose, and no, I fucking won that one, that's fucking horse shit. And that's exactly what happened the first time I played Chapter 3. It took me and my cousin's ex-husband at least 6 hours straight trying to beat this race. And honestly, I'm lowballing. I'm betting it was more like 8 hours non-stop. We had to retry this race more times than I can even remember. So many times hearing mission failed, flying out the road to my death, running out of energy just to crash and burn, and then finally getting used to the track only to lose because of a fraction of a fucking second. This chapter that night was the bane of my existence, but we didn't give up, and after hours of loss and struggle, we did it. Oh man, did it feel like we accomplished something when we finally crossed the finish line first. But then this happens.
Here, this is your share!
Once again, Black Shadow is running riot in the lightning area. All citizens are advised to evacuate.
Are you fucking kidding me? After all that bullshit, you give him the share of the prize money just because you see Black Shadow on the news? You, sir, can go fuck yourself. That's my money, motherfucker. How the hell do I manage to keep getting the middle finger from my video games? But while that was more like a seriously moment, which I obviously laughed off, but the next thing I saw was far from funny. In fact, this is bullcrap. I had spent 6 to 8 hours trying to beat Chapter 3 on what this game considers the easiest difficulty?
It's almost like the middle finger is just trying to fuck me now.
Falcon!
Hey, you be gentle.
Luckily, this did let up a bit for the next few chapters. So, on his way to stop Black Shadow, Captain Falcon runs into Michael Chain and his bloody chain gang. I don't know why, but that sounds goofier every time I say it. But you know what? Who gives a shit? Because this is hands down the best chapter in the game in my opinion. It's straight up death race mode, but to me it's perfected. It's action-packed, doesn't feel sluggish, and is rewarding when you win. Unlike killing myself like I used to in F-Zero X, the difference is that there's a possibility of losing, but there's no way to fly off the track now. So you actually feel accomplished when you pull it off, not just relieved it's over, so it has the right amount of challenge. Then after that, we have to save Jodie Summers from the power plant before it explodes. Oh my god, but you know what? It's probably the easiest chapter in the game. All you have to do is boost, then get through the closing doors. Once you figure out the pattern, it shouldn't take you any longer than half an hour to beat. After that, Falcon spots Black Shadow, and Chapter 6 begins with the Tick's dark alter ego trapped in Falcon whatever magic this is, and summons Blood Falcon out of him to strap a bomb to the Blue Falcon. Falcon breaks free, but needs to get the bomb off while going under 700 kilometers an hour. That's pretty much what you do for Chapter 6. Make it to the end of the track without colliding into stuff too much so you don't dip under 700 kilometers an hour. And while I always seem to spend more time on this chapter than I like to admit, I never despised it as I knew I'd get it eventually. And it has a good music track playing in the back, so that helps. It just stings a little when you do screw up because you gotta start over from the beginning and it's a really long level. The only real complaint I have for this one is that near the end there's a really, and I mean really sharp turn that comes up when you're forced to boost over these gravel patches, and 9 times out of 10, you're colliding with that wall. Going from 1400 kilometers to 0 and then boom in an instant, I don't know, that always felt cheap in my opinion. But nothing is more cheap than Chapter 7 though, like seriously, fuck this chapter, no fuck. Captain Falcon lives and makes it in time for the Grand Prix, but you know what? Fuck this chapter. Even now, it still took me a good 3 hours just so I could get footage at the ending of this. It's just a normal race for Christ's sakes. But fuck, man, how many times do I have to try? These cocksuckers just keep having a huge lead on me at the end, and even when I'm boosting it usually isn't enough. And on top of that, Black Shadow and Blood Falcon are programmed to always be in front, so outside of killing them, you'll never catch a break. They will rubber band the shit out of you. And fuck. You know what? Go fuck your hat. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on. Son of a bitch! What the fuck was that? Come on, come on, come on, come on. What the fuck? No! Are you for fucking real? Like, did you seriously not fucking think this was hard enough? Like, come on, you know? When I first started prepping for this video, I told myself, like I normally do any other video that I make, that I'm gonna try my best to 300% this game, because while my views may be a little nostalgic, at least if I re-experience the game, my current thoughts and opinions will still be, you know, current. Because, well, you know, I could do it on normal. I can. It took me about 50 tries, but I could. Hard or very fucking hard? Oh, just forget it. Like, I don't know how I don't know how I did it as a I don't know how I fucking did it as a kid. Honestly, I don't. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, well, what's the big deal? These difficulties are optional, right? It's not like you're forced to beat them to proceed, and in a way, yes, you don't ever have to touch them. But that means a lot of content is locked away from the players who are just looking to have fun, because custom parts and racers are locked away behind these difficulties, and honestly, I truly believe this game's extreme difficulty was its downfall when it came to sales. F-Zero was never a series known to be overly difficult. It took some skill, but it was still approachable. This isn't like Ghosts and Goblins, Ninja Gaiden, or even Dark Souls. You know, a series known for being difficult, which makes it more appealing to players. I think GX caught a lot of players new and old off guard when it came out, because this was during a time when places like Blockbusters or Rogers Video hadn't gone belly up yet, and renting was a really good way to try out a game before you bought it. So people probably rented it, probably thought it was fun for the first couple chapters in Grand Prix, but once they got to Chapter 3, or hell, even Chapter 2, they were completely blindsided. Now, while it still sold enough to make players' choice, it didn't sell nearly as much as the other racers did on the lunchbox, such as Double Dash or Kirby Air Ride, which is probably why we haven't seen a new console F-Zero game in 13 years. But again, that's possibly because 70% of the players were most likely put off by this difficulty spike, and never touch it again after bringing it back to the video store despite how fun it could be. Given this is just a theory, I'm sure lack of marketing didn't help this game either. But say you were like me, one of the few who still fell in love with this game and wanted to experience everything it had to offer. Well, you can, but GX is gonna make you its bitch in the process. When it comes to story mode, it was a pain in the ass but still doable, especially after fucking Chapter 7. Shit, the last 2 chapters were a cakewalk compared to that nightmare once you knew the track layouts. In Chapter 8, you faced Deathborn in a one-on-one race to save the world a day after he won the Grand Prix in 7. Then in 9 you do the same thing, but it's against the creators of the F-Zero universe. I know it sounds like I'm skimming over the last part of the story, and well, that's because I am. It turns out how you expect it to. Captain Falcon beats his opponents and saves the day. Whoopie fucking moo. So no, I'm not done talking about why I feel this game's high difficulty took away more from the game than it added. And I'm sure some of you will cry foul and say, oh, you just don't like challenge. And while I have no problem admitting I'm not the most hardcore gamer, not even close, but I still appreciate a good challenge. I'm 25 years old. I grew up when challenging was the norm, but even I feel this was too much for a racing game. You are going to live and breathe GX if you want to see everything. Characters, custom parts, tracks, even little things like classic music and movie shorts are unlockables that require complete mastery for Christ's sakes. 30-second movie shorts. Like, really? And some of these are pretty creative, but most players will never see these. Well, at least not legitimate anyway. No, what the fuck? Like, okay, you know, son, maybe there's just some things that shouldn't be fucking unlocked, because I'm turning you off now.